super excited about our next guest. You heard him on ESPN TV and radio for years. You can catch him on Fox Sports Radio. He's all over Yahoo Sports as well. Jason Fitz joining us here on the program. What's up, Fitz? How you been, man?
Man, I'm great. I'm happy to be on, and just, my God, can you believe we're finally at a spot where we can actually talk about football? Like, we've spent so much time obsessing about what college football is going to look like. I just can't wait for games to come back Saturday to remind us why we love covering the sport.
You got it, man. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit first about your career, because I'm trying to remember. I know you've told the story before. You were doing music in Nashville before you became a sports talk host, right? Am I getting that part of the story correct?
Yeah. I was the fiddle player for a country band, the band Perry. We were lucky enough when I left the band to have, at the time, the fourth biggest song of all time in country music, If I Die Young. So I got a bunch of the plaques behind me from them and from other people that I played for over the years. So yeah, I was a touring and session musician for years, and we were out on the road. And back in, I think it was 2013, I realized that, like, lucky to do what I did and incredible life, but it just didn't feed my soul. And Buddy asked if he asked me 100 of my closest friends what I truly care about the most, what would the answer be? And I said sports without hesitation. And he said, all right, start talking about sports. So before podcasts were even a thing, I just took my violin recording stuff and I would take it on the road with me. And everywhere we'd play, I'd get music guys to talk about sports and sports guys to talk about music, and just started building something from there. So yeah, I was lucky enough in 2016, ESPN came to me and said, hey, we're going to offer you a college football show, but once a week. You could get fired after one show if it stinks, like no guarantees. And the band was about to put out a single, and I was like, man, ESPN's once in a lifetime. So I quit the band with no idea if they were actually going to keep me, and I've been in this world ever since. So it's been a wild life. I'm very, very lucky life.
Hey, you're also a Vegas guy, if I remember correctly. And how did the Big Ten end up having their media days? And like, I'm just trying to understand. Like, I don't think it's a good idea. There's no teams in the area. I guess USC and UCLA kind of, but like, how did that all thing happen?
I mean, that's just Las Vegas deciding that they want to be a host for something and believing that they can turn everything into an event. But I think you make an important point. Like, part of the magic of SEC media days is that you are around the SEC. So you're around the environment and the feel of it. Like, there's something, especially when it was in Alabama, like in the middle of nowhere, and you're driving up to a hotel and it says it just means more in all the buildings. Like, there is something to that. I think they lose out, in my opinion, putting that in Vegas and not putting that in Michigan or Ohio State or heck, even I think there's a whole group of college places right now that are about to try and figure out how to compete in the new landscape, and they may not be who they were. So if you're Michigan State, let's say, or you're Wisconsin, or a Big Ten team that like is just trying to hold on to what the Big Ten means to you, I would put it somewhere like that and let that entire vibe be a vibe around the conference.
Talking to Jason Fitz here on TexAgs Live. Jason, I don't know how much you've seen about Texas A&M, but I'd love to get your thoughts on them entering this season with Coach Elko and hopefully a little health, which has been a problem the last few years.
Yeah, look, a couple of things. I think we have to be a little more patient, which I know doesn't exist in the SEC. But Elko, first year, I mean, he comes there with the defensive mindset, right? It takes a minute. And there aren't a lot of great comps in this to college football, but I do think, at some point you have to look around and say, hey, new coaches with the defensive mindset, I think take an extra year. Look at the NFL, right? Seattle Seahawks go out and hire Michael McDonald to be their head coach. He had been the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, right? He comes over there. Baltimore, it takes them a year. Seattle, I should say, takes them a year to really adjust. I think the defense for Texas A&M is going to look much better. And we also have to turn around and acknowledge that within conference last year, Texas A&M scored points in conference. They just couldn't turn it into wins. So A&M is sitting right on the cusp. I think they've just got to find a way to translate close games into wins, which is all about momentum. I think the SEC is wide open. Texas A&M, things break right, they can be a playoff team, and I think that should be the expectation.
This year, we look at Tennessee and we're wondering, all right, quarterback room can't be as good, even though I wasn't that high on Nico. Running back room shouldn't be as good. Defense should be pretty solid. Where do you see Tennessee?
Yeah, that's an interesting part of this because Heupel is all about like first and foremost, the SEC's caught up a little bit. Explosive plays are way down for Tennessee. So we keep talking about one route, wide receivers, and the way they like to push the ball down the field. The last couple of years, that's been taken away from Tennessee. They are now going to be a ground and pound team. They're going to have to. I don't trust their quarterback position at all. I'm with you. I wasn't huge on Nico. I mean, you got to at least throw the ball on fourth down at the end of the game to give your team a chance to win. He didn't do that. So I think there are moments for Tennessee where you got to turn around and say, man, they have just shot themselves in the foot consistently. But buts, and this is what I like to do. I think you'll appreciate this. Coming into the season, let's apply the universal. So either we're giving everybody the benefit of the doubt or we're giving nobody the benefit of the doubt. And I think when you start talking about quarterbacks and transfer quarterbacks, man, it's a slippery slope to give benefit of the doubt to the fact that that's just going to work with Heupel. I think Tennessee's going to struggle. And here's the problem. A couple of losses are the difference between being elite and being one of the also-rans. Alabama is learning this. Like when you suddenly don't have a cheat code and you find a way to win every game that's in front of you, you pick up a couple of those losses, you lose that cheat code, you lose your edge in the SEC. I think Tennessee takes a little step back because of it.
Okay, you mentioned transfer quarterbacks. What about first-time starters in Arch Manning? Gets all the hype in the world. Seems like to be a young man with a great head on his shoulders. Obviously, the pedigree, we all know about that. But he hasn't done it. I mean, he did it a couple of games. It's probably not fair, the expectations put on him, but what do you see from Arch?
Yeah, you're right. He hasn't done it against any real opponents. And also, did I miss the moment where Sark is a bad coach? Because this has been my argument on Arch the entire time. I hope he's just absolutely just destroys it this year and has a great year. I hope that because I always root for these kids. But if we're being honest, last year, if you watch Quinn Ewers at the end of the year, he was banged up. And there were times that he was just getting destroyed behind that offensive line. And what did they need? They needed a mobile quarterback to come in and make plays. Sark did not put in his mobile quarterback to make plays. So we keep sitting here talking about the greatness of Arch, and I'm watching a Texas team that I think had a real legitimate shot at a national championship last year, squander it in part because their quarterback wasn't good enough and wasn't healthy enough at the end of the season, and they chose not to put Arch in. That means something to me. All the way across the board, like if you look at college football right now and the way they're in love with Arch Manning, I would just remind everybody that we weren't in love with Jaden Daniels that way before his miraculous season, right? Like it's just these guys come from out of nowhere more often than they come predictably. So the whole concept of, my God, the Saints are going to try and lose every game to get him as their quarterback and all these things, like, do we even know Arch is going to be killer this year? Do we know he's going to be great? Do we know he's going to come out? Like the number of things that we presumed on Arch Manning just makes absolutely zero sense to me. Let's see how it actually looks on the field for a consistent, long amount of time. Let's see how it looks over the growth of a season when defenses get used to him. Like I just think the trajectory of Arch Manning it's much easier to bet my house that he's really good than he's epic and he's suddenly the greatest player in the sport.
Fitz, you mentioned Alabama earlier, and I'm curious about them because I feel like their defense is going to be great. I have questions about Ty Simpson. I really do, but I still think they're going to get back. I think they're going to be a step up from last year. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think it'll be a step up from last year, but two things here. Jalen Milroe was just a bad fit for that offense, and Kalen DeBoer, he gets his offensive coordinator back. That's going to be helpful. But look all the way back at Kalen DeBoer and where he's had the most success. He has success when guys have been in his system for a minute, which is harder and harder to do. Michael Penix Jr. had been in that system for a minute. He knew that system from the past, right? Like it is just harder and harder to do that in a transfer portal world. So my argument last year when coming into the season, when I was just getting destroyed by Alabama fans for predicting they would lose 3 or 4 games, was, man, there's an adjustment. The problem is that adjustment was only step one. Now you got to get people in and keep people in long enough for them to become who they need to be. I think this offense is going to be, let's say, herky-jerky at best. It's going to have good moments and bad moments. And this is what Alabama's schedule does too. Like Alabama allows us to see them just beat up on cupcakes and everybody falls in love with how good it looks. And then you got to wait. You got to wait until you actually get to the meat of playing the good to figure out how it looks sustainably. Alabama is they're a great program with so much history that I respect. I just don't think you can truly emphasize enough the loss of Saban for the next 3, 4, 5 years, because I think it takes that long for DeBoer to get the people in, keep the people in, and create his culture and system. And I don't even know if Alabama will give him that much grace if they don't get better.
Fitz, I look at A&M's schedule and I see these road games at Baton Rouge. They got to go to Notre Dame. They got to go to Texas. I wonder about Notre Dame because I do believe the defense will still – I love Marcus Freeman. I think the defense is going to be really good. But the fact that A&M gets them week 3, new quarterback, I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that feels like that if A&M is going to win one of those 3 games, that seems like the one that, and that could change the trajectory of the season as well.
Week 3 is the perfect place to get Notre Dame because you don't want to get week 1, new quarterback, new defensive coordinator. Got a lot you're going to have to study on Notre Dame out of the gates. Week 3, you get enough proof of concept, enough body of work that you're actually working with something at that point. It's early in the season. Marcus Freeman is, this is the hardest thing, and Notre Dame fans know this better than anybody. Like Mike Golick Jr. is like a brother to me, right? Like Gojo always talks about. They drop the 1 game a year they're not supposed to drop, right? So you expect Notre Dame to be at their best, at their most focused against a brand name opponent. That's what they always do. But I think when you catch them early, you really catch them with the opportunity to catch them a little off guard. That defense for Notre Dame is going to, again, I think it's a little dip before they get better by the end of the season. I'd rather catch them in the first 5 weeks than catch them in the last 5 for sure.
Let me close out with South Carolina with you because I am like everybody else. Lenore Sellers is this and that, but he's not Cam Newton. And I don't think he's got the pieces around him this year that he made better last year. And I think the defense takes a step back. Where are you on South Carolina?
Yeah, he's got to be much better. See, the thing of it is, last year, all he had to do was not lose games and make some good plays, right? That's a much different quarterback environment than coming in. What I think they're expecting this year is an explosion from him. And man, it's a lot of pressure. Turnovers are going to put them in a bad situation. I think South Carolina, of all the SEC teams right now that we're looking for a reason to hype, South Carolina is one that I'm just sort of mid on. Like, I think this is a moment for South Carolina where, man, I can see Sellers having some issues with turnovers and that getting them out of games early on. So South Carolina, I'm a seller on South Carolina this year.
Fitz, great stuff, man. Thanks for making time for us. Let's do it again during the season.
Anytime. I love it. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks, man.